Because the level was like, I fell, but I couldn't get back up. When you grew up skating your entire life, and that's all that you know, and you put your full identity into it, and then you get hurt, it's a mental battle as well. When you have like someone black and a woman getting something that you feel like is yours, you just start to be like, that person sucks, they don't deserve that, they don't deserve this. That would fuel me. I'd be like, say less.
So what have you been up to these days? Is still skating every chance you get, or have other passions been taken over lately?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I'm getting back into skating every day again. I had like, everyone thinks I guess I'm like doing other stuff, but it was because I was injured for 2 years. I had torn my ACL. So that's a big injury to have happen and to recover from. In those 2 years, I was getting back on my board, relearning tricks, but I was also like, skateboarding's really hard and mental, and it's scary to hurt yourself and come back. So between that, I was making projects and finding out my other interest. But now I'm fully focused on skating. I'm filming. I'm working on projects that have to do with skateboarding. But yeah, I have other projects on the side, so it's a good balance, but it's mostly skate now again, which is great.
And people don't realize, me, and in LCL, people sometimes don't come back from that.
I went to PT for 6 months, 4 times a week. I changed my diet. I never drank or smoked, but those are really important things because those things really help you heal faster. And it's all mental too. When you grew up skating your entire life, and that's all that you know, and you put your full identity into it, and then you get hurt, I don't think people understand it's a mental battle as well. I just don't think people are human anymore, where they're like, oh my god, this person tore a ligament in their body and they have to come back. You know what I mean? Like, I just think people want to see you hurt, and then you want to see you skating again, where it's like, there's a year of I have to do the work and coming back into being a skater again.
Was that very frustrating for you to know that perhaps you're getting better, but you still know that you're not quite where you want to be? There's a mental hurdle that you talk about as well, because I mean, you used to falling, you used to hurting
Yeah.
yourself, but that's a different. There's a level to it.
Yeah, it was the level I fell, but I couldn't get back up. When I hurt myself, it was 2021. I think in Berlin, I fell and I didn't get up. I had to be picked up. There's a lot that goes into your head. Am I going to walk again? People forget, like, after skateboarding, I want to be able to walk with my kids. I want to be able to walk to the grocery store. There's a human aspect to it, especially being an athlete. But there's also a superhuman aspect to it because you can do something that a lot of people can't. I just think people forget the human side of it. Skateboarding is 80% mental, 20% skill and repetition. So if you're not all up here mentally, I feel like that's the most important thing. If my brain's all right and I'm focused and I know what I want, I can achieve anything. That's what I believe. But if I'm all scrambled and worried about like how am I going to walk, how am I going to pay for a life, it's hard to skateboard like that, especially when you're an adult and you start to have bills.
It's not as easy as it used to be before as well.
Yes.
But the interesting thing, because an injury, you have almost like you have, rehab. You have things that you're supposed to do. There's almost like a criteria you meet every time, like steps and milestones to get back. But the mindset is where I'm interested, because you don't really have a blueprint how to get your mind back to where it used to be, the confident level. How are you doing that for yourself? How do you build in that confidence back and make sure that you're in a good state of mind?
I think it's just like I'm being patient with myself, which is something I'm learning. I never really was. Like, I'm taking it easy. But I've always been the type of skater where I'll do like 1 stair, 2 stair, 5, 6, 10. I never was the skater to just jump to 10. I've always been like a work my way up type of skater. So I've just been doing that again. Like, it's frustrating because I've been doing this my whole life and I know I can do something, but my mind won't let me. So I have to start small. It's very humbling. I know I could skate this 5 stair. But in order for your mind to believe you, you have to put in the action. I think that's how things work. So to tell myself, I know I could do it, so just do it. And then from there, I feel secure and I move my way up and up. Or I can skate this rail, or I can do this trick. You have to show yourself. I think it's just like playing with the mind and also being patient with yourself. Because as you grow up, there's just so much other factors.
Yeah, not so much an idea of like affirmation. You have to see the result. You have to be able to see the increment result happens little by little to truly believe. It's not so much talk yourself into it.
That's just how I work. If I want I can sit here all day and be like, I want ice cream. I'm telling you, I want ice cream. I'm manifesting and thinking about it. If I don't get up and go get it, it's never going to come to me. And I think that's how skating is. I know how to do this. It's like, if I don't show myself I can do it, how can I progress? People get stuck in the way of just saying it. Your job is the action. You say what you want and then you do the action. That's how that works. And I think that's exactly how skating is. But when you have trauma, it's easier when you're a kid. I was like, I want to learn how to kickflip. I wasn't hurt before then. I could do that, you know? I want to know how to kickflip again. I know what my knee looks like now. I know what it looked like. My thighs, the size of my arm. There's a lot of factors where I'm like, okay, one by one, if I work on my body, it'll get bigger. If I work on my knee, it'll get stronger. So it's like I'm putting things in place. So when I do kickflip, everything was just like in place. Where it's like if I did nothing for myself and try to kickflip again, I don't know where I would be. Especially mentally, because I wouldn't trust myself because I didn't put any work into it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can only imagine how scary it would be to think you're not going to be able to go back and do something that you've done in your life. That's a very threatening idea, too.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't really understand because sometimes it's all you know. But I also appreciated it because it reminded me who I was. Because I had a life before skateboarding. My mom always put me into different sports. I played piano. I did art. So I knew a little bit of myself before skating. So I just had to be like, okay, who am I without this thing? Which I feel like it's sad because you're changing. And I'm not a person that really likes change, but I'm learning to embrace it. But it's also great because I'm still Beatrice Domond with or without my skateboard. But I choose to have my skateboard. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I need to have it to be myself. It's a choice that I make that comes with me. Yeah, if that makes sense.
That comes with a lot of growing up, too, right?
Yeah. I had to grow up because skateboarding is very like, skate, we only skate, all we care about is skate. It's like, I still am like that. But when you grow up, you realize, I want to be Beatrice. Like, if I were not to have this thing, which was taken away from me for a year, could I still be myself? Am I still kind? Am I still thoughtful? Am I still persistent? Do I still have a good work ethic? Those things are important to have, not attached to something, because nothing is forever. Everything is temporary. And once you can attach yourself from something and still have your values, the person you are, I think that's an amazing place to be, you know?
Yeah. Was there anything that you find out about yourself when you would be able to do that self-reflection? You look into yourself that you wasn't quite aware that was there?
Yeah, I have no patience. I had zero patience. Zero patience. I was so impatient. And I did not know that about myself. I was like, wow. Because I was expecting to get out of surgery, walk, and skate. And something physical had to stop me. And I realized I couldn't sit still. Like, I mean, I'm not a partier. I don't really go out. In terms of, like, I love doing stuff. Like, I love skating, going to museums. I just can't sit still. Sitting still in a room during the dead winter of New York, I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I had a problem with being by myself and not being stimulated all the time. So it was cool to be like, okay, I'm learning new things about myself. Yeah.
Going back to the process of growth, sometimes we needed something bad to happen to give you opportunity to try to overcome it and learn new things. Clearly, you are on that path. I'm just happy to hear that you're getting back to pursue something you're passionate about.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it was funny because I was just talking to my therapist this morning. I'm more of an observational learner.
Mm-hmm.
I can see someone do something and I learn from it. And with this, I had to be a learner through experience, which is like really hard for me too because I love learning, watching other people do stuff. It was cool. Sometimes I have to experience something to learn from it, which is fine. I feel like everybody does at some point in their life. You can't avoid it. It's just
life. Life will come at you one way or the other.
Definitely. You will. Yeah, everyone gets touched.
But what about your environment, your community in terms of the group of people? When you're at the top of your game and you're doing so many great things and people know who you are, everybody wants to be around you, have you around, be participating, collaborating, that sort of thing. And then you have a major setback in terms of injury. Did you feel the people was there for you? Perhaps some friends and partners and your community can embrace and it was there throughout the whole process as well? Or you were able to notice that perhaps that now that you had a little bit of a setback, the hype wasn't that anymore, people kind of started drifting away?
So the thing with my close friends were very much there for me, and also I had thrown myself into other projects. Obviously, I couldn't skate, so I was designing the first woman collection for FA, which is one of my board sponsors. So I was contributing in that way. And then when it came to my shoe sponsor, I couldn't skate, but I was contributing by consulting or speaking on panels about my experiences. I don't think anybody kind of stepped away from me because I didn't allow them to. I had something to offer outside of my board. People love you until you achieve a certain thing. That was what I experienced. Skateboarding has different tiers. Are you familiar with skateboarding? Yeah, there's flow and pro, you know? Everyone just loves you until you get something, which is pro, is what they want. Everybody who skates wants to be pro. I don't know if that's true, but that's what it seems like. I had turned pro in the midst of being injured, which was ideal, because it was like I had 2 great years on the board, and I was like, okay, it's coming, and it didn't come. I was like, okay, well, I don't think it's ever going to come, so I let it go. But the moment I got hurt and I couldn't skate is when they decided to turn me pro. You don't really get to pick. They kind of just do it, you know? But I think people were just like, okay, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, why do you deserve this? Or why do you have that? It was just stressful because I couldn't be like, this is why I have it. Because I'm in the middle of an injury. So that's really what I've experienced, the backlash of becoming a professional. But in terms of people being there for me, when it comes to my companies, I didn't allow them to forget about me. And when it comes to my friends, yeah, I'm probably the coolest person they know. So just kidding.
But it's an interesting dynamic because, as you mentioned, a younger self, your opinion of your peers were the validation that you needed to make sure that you were on the right path. But now you already know that there's more, there are layers to that as well, right? You have the guy you admire, the people you look up to, and they're embracing you and supporting you. That's what you need. And you feel like you're true to yourself. You know what you want to do, how you want to accomplish things, and you're getting at it. So people appreciate that, and they can really feel connected with that as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, I would be the kid, like, when, we're skating and my friends was like, you can't do that. I bet you can't do that. I'd be like, say less. You know what I mean? And I'd do it first try. And that's the kind of energy I needed when I was a kid. Like, people telling me, you suck. And I was like, no, I don't. But as I get to an adult, that does the opposite. Someone says I suck, I'll be like, okay, I don't want to do that. It makes me not want to do it. I feel like I was a little distorted growing up where the negative energy filled me. Now I think I'm healed and more of an adult. If someone's giving me negative feedback, that doesn't fuel me. It makes me like bummed. I don't want to no longer participate. Where it's like if someone's like, not over like praising you, because there's like the dopamine of you saying something and you getting the validation by actually doing it, which I think is also why our world is a little fucked. But it's like someone's like, you're killing it, or if someone's like, you know what, you're good, but I know you could flip out of that, I'd be like, okay, sick. That's the kind of thing I need. I don't need someone telling me I suck, because I'd be like, I'm just gonna go home. That doesn't work for me anymore. It doesn't. And I think this year I just learned that about myself. I'm like, oh, that used to work for me, and like it no longer serves me at all. I'm not that person anymore.
Yeah, no, that's great. Great to hear. What about those, you saying before you have those amazing collaborations in the last few years and great
Yeah.
brands approaching you to do things together and to have you as almost like a spokesperson for the brand and not
Yeah.
even that, but really having your creative input and hands on the design process of a lot of the
Yeah.
product. Tell me how the whole thing started. Is this something that you enjoy? Do you have a good kick out of it, or where you at with the whole process?
I mean, I love it. I've always been creative. I have strong opinions about what I like and what I don't like. Almost to the where it's almost delusion, where it's like, if I think it's cool, no one can tell me otherwise. I enjoy it, and it's people I want to work with. I'm not doing collabs with random people because it makes money. I'm doing collabs that are true to me. Hey, fucking awesome. The company I write for, it's a full circle moment. I grew up not having a lot of money, not writing for the company, but making t-shirts with Sharpie and a Gildan tee and like writing fucking awesome on my shirt and being and like sewing things in to be like, okay, I have a FA shirt, to fast forwarding being a pro on it and getting to design pants, shirt, hoodie, a full collection with them. And so I've always been into that, but didn't have the resources. And I'm always drawing. So yeah, I didn't know that opportunity would come, but I think like my mom was always saying like, if you're ready, you don't have to get ready. By the time they were like, you should do you want to do like a project, like a clothing. It wasn't like, oh my god, like it was like, actually I have like 2 books of stuff I've made that we can put into the, you know what I mean? Like I was already prepared. I've always had like a passion for like clothes and like art, so that comes with skating. It's hand in hand. But yeah, so it was like, it's just so beautiful talking about it, because like I literally would just make stuff in my room to like, now I just come up with the concept and send it over. It's really cool. It's kind of trippy when you think about it.
And that's how it started, though. I mean, when you came for the first meeting, we wanted to do this collab with you, but you come in for the first meeting and you just threw all ideas at that. Were you looking to do something specific that you haven't seen before, a specific style design that you wanted to be connected with you?
I wanted it to be like, they make menswear. I very much exist in a man's world. Like I wear menswear because that's just what skateboarding clothes are, at least the cool ones. But I wanted to make women's wear that looks cool. You ever go into a department store? The men's section is always better. The shirts are cut better. The girls' shirts are always cut up here. I'm like, who wants to wear a shirt up here? There's no pockets in the girls' pants. I have a phone too, you know what I mean? But women's buttons, are they left to right and men's are right to left? Just for convenience. I feel like it's all psychological, but we won't get into that. When they came to me with it, I was like, oh, we're gonna make these pants super cool. They can also be unisex. I wanted men to want them too, which I also end up happening. And then I gave like bigger pocket, nicer sizing. A girl didn't have to go to the pants and be like, can I get like 10 versus a 2? She was like, I want a 30. That's how men get to be like, I want a 32. And where girls have to be like, do you have a 5? All that stuff is so crazy. Just little things I wanted to see change. I know it's just a small collection, and it was like a brand that it's not like it's, I don't know, whatever other brand there is. If I can make a small change, some girl going into the shop and being like confident, be like, can I get the Beatrice spider button up? And these guys would be like, yeah, you can. You have every right to be in the store now because there's things for you. I try to think about the bigger picture. I just want girls who skate or girls who want to participate in skating to have more than I had, if that makes sense. I want them to be able to walk in the store and feel like they belong there, because they see just little things like that. Just to see my name on a board, which is a girl's name, can make someone feel like, oh, I'm in the right spot. But if you're a girl and you go on the board and you see all these guys' names, you're just like, am I even in the right place? I think those things are important, and that's what I try to do with the clothes I make, is make girls and women and non-binary people feel comfortable in a space that's male dominated.
Do you have a set number of collections that goes out every year, or just is whenever you feel like, or you have to like, no, we have twice a year have to put up a new product, for example?
Right. It's kind of like how I want to do it. That stuff takes a lot of work, and I'm very hands-on. When I have enough ideas, I'll go to them and be like, can we do something with this? If there's room in the calendar, we make it work. They're not telling me I have to do this. I do it because I want to, which is really cool to have that relationship with my sponsors where they trust me. All my stuff sells out, so why wouldn't they?
I'm sure there's a great relationship with people, but at the end of the day, it is a business, right? Everybody's
Yes.
looking forward to the bottom line and see what you bring to the table. And if things are getting sold out, I'm like, well, we're going to keep doing this. It's working.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, they're always hyped because they're just like, yeah, it works. But I think it only works because I care. It only works because I really, really, I'm not just making clothes to make clothes, because everybody's making clothes. I'm making clothes because I feel like there's a necessity there, or I have an idea that I feel like hasn't been done before or executed.
Outside clothing and other partnerships and collaborations you've done, what about art? Are you more invested? I know I was reading that you're more interested into creating different things, a lot of photography in video as well, that you see that as a creative vision for you as well to put it out there.
Yeah, I do art. I've had my art in some shows, my collages, my photos. For the first time this year, I curated a show with different artists, and that was super fun. I had never did that before in my life. It was also those were 5 months of very stressful putting that together, but it was cool to facilitate other people's art as well. I'm always creating. I love making zines. I just love the idea of a little book with no real plot. I think that's just how my brain works. So it's very easy. I don't have to follow a storyline or whatever.
No twists.
Just one page is about rats, the next page is about pigs, or the next page is about dolphins. It's all over the place. So I feel like I like making zines. I like shooting photos. But that's all just like things I like to do. It's how I was as I was a kid. But now I realize that people want to like purchase it, which is cool. Even if people didn't know who I was, I would still be making this stuff, and it would just be sitting here or whatever. You know, it's not because I'm doing it because for people. I'm just doing it because I have a lot in my mind. I need to put it out there. You know, if that makes sense. Yeah.
How did the curation opportunity came to be?
So it was me asking. It was through Stance, who's my sock sponsor. They were always like, "Is there any projects you want to do this year?" It's always product. I had a pro sock come out maybe 2022. I did that and it was fun. It just felt really like, okay, I have a sock. I did it. And we made a video and it was like all about me. And it was like, wow, that was a lot. Like it's very, the sock had my name on it. The video was all about me. It was very me focused. And so when they asked me, what do you want to do this year? I was like, well, I had a sock. What else can I do? At the time, I was like, what else can I do? I had the sock, and that's the exact sock I want. I still wear it to this day because I made something that I wanted, and that was it. And so when they asked me what I want to do, I'm like, I want to have an art show. At first, it started off with my art, and I was just like, that seems so me-focused again. Like, I want to bring community together. I want to have, like, an event. And then it slowly became, like, an art show that I wanted other people in. And then from there, I was curating who I picked and who I wanted to be in. So it was just slow progress of, here's the year budget. What do you want to do this year? I just didn't want to do another sock. I wanted to do an art show.
That's amazing. That's great. Tell me about the curating process. Were you already familiar with all those artists, or you kind of went deep digging and researching, trying to find some new talent or people that you were familiar with?
Curated. I got one new kid that I had no idea who he was. Just to give that kid a chance. I have 2 OGs in there, like people who live in New York who are from New York. I have women and people of color. So it was just like all things I want to see. As a Black woman in this industry and in the States, it's a burden. It's a burden that I feel the need to make everybody feel seen because I'm never, you know what I mean? I'm not really, what do they say? When you don't get to see yourself, I'm not really represented. Mm-hmm. So for this show, I wanted everyone to feel represented, from a white guy to a queer woman. I just wanted all the variations, but I wanted to be true. Everybody I knew in that show, except for that one kid that I picked, because he was just like, I want to give a kid a chance. Like, I wanted that to be in it too, because at one point I was that kid that nobody knew, and I wanted a chance. So I just thought about myself and everybody. This guy's Black, or this guy lives in New York, or this guy's queer, or this woman is this, and like this, you know, this lady, she's white lady. Like, it's just, I just wanted it to be authentic. I wasn't doing a pride campaign or a Black history campaign. This is my real life. I live these things, and I want some kid to come in and feel like they see themselves at least once, because I didn't see myself growing up at all, especially in skateboarding. So that was important to me. A lot of the artists were my friends, like Alexis was my friends, and Rain, who is a oil painter. I had just met her because she did my 5th pro board, and we became friends that way. And then there's Hamilton, a beautiful New York artist. He was even in the movie Kids. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
He was in there. I love New York, and I love New York history, like 90s skateboarding in New York. That's my shit. Like, I love it. And so when I got him in it, I was like, wow. And I got my homie Greg, who works for Supreme, and he's just a painter, and his art is very much like of the times. You remember the crate challenge?
Yes.
He painted an oil painting of a crate challenge. That shit was so funny to me because I'm just like, damn, someone's gonna look back on this and be like, that's what they were doing in 2020. Everyone I had in there was for a reason, and I selected them. I mean, I had some people that fell through, but it was meant to be because it came out exactly how I wanted it to be. And people had a great time. Yeah.
So now if we're going to look into the box, we're checking. We have clothing, we have skateboard, we have socks, we have curation, we have our own art, and other things that you want to pursue. Perhaps the next, of course, priority right now is get back to skating, but other goals in the next 5-10 years that you like to see?
Yeah, I want to make 2 really good skateboard parts where I'm like, I can sit on the couch, and then when my kid's like, what did you do? I want to be like, watch this. I want to put it in the CD and be like, watch that. And let him, like, whoever, girl or boy, enjoy it. And then, I mean, I want to keep doing clothes. I love clothes. I love creative directing. I love curating. I love it all. I want to be involved in skateboarding, but I also want to be involved in fashion. I really do like fashion, and maybe one day creative direct for a fashion house or something. That would be really cool. But yeah, I don't know what that looks like.
Hey, there's a chance more and more skateboarding coaches being embraced all over the world has very much became, not mainstream, but everybody's familiar with the streetwear and all of that. So,
Right.
it's not far-fetched. A chance could definitely happen.
Yeah, who knows? That would be sick. Maybe I'll do my own thing. The possibilities are endless. Whatever happens, happens. But I'm just enjoying the ride right now.
You come across someone who's optimistic, at least for our conversation, really easygoing, determined, because you cannot skateboard if you're not persistent. Everybody has to be persistent because you got to keep
Yeah.
moving forward, right? Getting up. But also someone who has a good, positive outlook in life. Is that something that perhaps you get it from your parents? You talk about your mom a couple times already. Is that a trait that you acquired from her, lessons that she learned from somebody in your family that was with you since a young girl, or things that as you're growing up, older and wiser, you start kind of having a different outlook in life?
No, I mean, that's definitely come from my mother. She always told me she was realistic about things, but also kept me optimistic. I saw examples in her life where she wasn't just saying, like, good things happen to good people, or if you work hard, she would say things, and then I would see the actions of what she was saying. So seeing that at a young age and being the second of four, so my mom had four of us, and she worked really hard, and she always wanted to have her own TV show, and when she was raising us, she would always say it. And then one day, I saw her on Channel 5, PBS, and she had her own show. And she made it happen. It was a short run show, but she made it happen. So to see that at a young age and my mom being like, I want my own show, it wasn't the next day, maybe a couple of years down the line, but she did it. And I got to see that. And I think seeing that at a young age, being like, whoa, you say you want something, you work at it, it could be achieved, that kind of stuck with me, you know? And then when I turned 18, my mom gave me a Tony Robinson disc set that I would just listen to every day and do all the lessons. And then I would listen to Earl Nightingale on repeat every day. So those were transitions into my life. When she did the show and had her book, I was like, whoa, you could do what you want. Even if you have obstacles, she's raising four kids. But she made her dream a reality by being persistent. Listening to these tapes and watching these people do the same thing every day, I think that's just where it comes from. My mom never told me I couldn't do anything. I wasn't a kid where everyone has a participation award. She saw something in me and nourished it. You know, she would take me to contests, she would take me to the skate park. She just believed in me. Having someone believe in you at a young age. Once your mom believes in you, I can make anybody believe in me.
That's so important because as a parent, you want the best for your kid. And looking on the landscape of skateboarding, there was nobody like you. So that she
Dude,
could say, it worked out for her, you can do the same thing, right? So I'm sure there's some sort of a skepticism, but she never showed that to you. She was fully supportive. The time that you decided, I'm going to go pro and this is what I'm going to do for my life, and she was
yeah.
just behind it.
I look back and I'm like, damn, I don't know how she did that. Because if I had a kid and there's no formula, I'd be like, what? No, you can't do that, you know? Having the adult mind. But I think she just remembered being a kid, and I think she never wanted to let me never not be a kid. You know what I mean? And sorry.
It's
And
okay.
yeah, dumb boy, stop. And I think from there, she just kind of was like, you could just be, you know? Like, she's. Hold on, can I give me
Oh,
one?
no, don't worry. You can keep recording. Let's.
Say hi, dumb boy.
You want to say hello?
Nah,
Maybe
he
you
just
feel
wants
better? Nah, a little shy. What's your relationship like with her today? I mean, she's seen you accomplish most of your goals and really having a life that you wanted to have and pursue it. What is it like today with her?
Yeah, proud. You know, proud. The thing about her is that she always knew. She knew I would be here before I did. She knew I would have all this stuff before I did. Like when I would get stuff at home and like I'd get boards from my sponsors at home. I'd be like, Mom, oh my God, they sent me a board. She goes, of course they did. Why wouldn't they? She would always say that to the point where I'd be like, can you be happy for me? You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh my God, they just sent me 3 boards. Or they sent me a t-shirt and a board. And she would just be like, why wouldn't they send you? You're great. Why wouldn't they send you that stuff? She would always say that. And sometimes I'd be like, yeah, but I'm like, I'm psyched. But she knew. And I think that's why she was just always so supportive. There's not one time she was not supportive. She just always kept supporting me in everything I did. But yeah, which is really cool. Yeah.
That's very nice to hear. It always come down to that. It makes things a lot easier when you have support of the loved ones that, to help out. There's a couple questions I want to ask you before I let you go, and one of them is a little bit more like, a couple of those I ask to everybody. But before I get there, what is the best compliment you ever got?
Oh, the best compliment. I feel like someone was like, you're just a really good person. Like, just without skateboarding, not knowing me or who I am or what I do, just some random lady being like, you are so sweet. I love your energy. You guys have a good spirit. I think those are especially nowadays where it's like, I feel like friendships or everything is transactional, it seems like. For someone to not know anything about you but feel your true inner and soul, that feels really good. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's probably the best compliment I ever got.
Are you someone who is open to people right away, or you just take some time?
I think now it's like I take my time, but it's faster. I would have friends for 10 years and they would just get to know me on the 7th year. I'm very to myself and reserved. But as I get older, I'm realizing I can allow people in, but I'm also learning how to set boundaries. I think I didn't have boundaries before. Now that I know I can say no, I could speed up the friendship a little bit, but if they're not treating me how I feel like I should be treated, I could put up a boundary, which is something I learned. I've always been reserved and more quiet. It's skateboarding that helped me come out of my shell and talk to people and share stuff.
If you had the chance to go back in time and meet the young Beatrice who just picked up a skateboard, what would you tell her?
I'd be like, learn, focus more on switch skating, maybe. More switch, because it matters to skaters. Other than that, just keep doing what you're doing. I think she'd be psyched. We live in New York, I think she'd be hyped.
Before I let you go, I need 2 recommendations from you. I need you to recommend something to read or listen to, one of your favorites, or something that you're reading or listening recently. Something to watch, can be a movie, a TV show, a documentary, something that you enjoy it. And our next guest, who should we invite to be here next?
Okay, so something to read, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. It's a really good book. I love that book. Something to watch, my favorite movie, The Prince of Egypt. Even as a cartoon, it's so good. It teaches me something every time I watch it.
Who should we have here next?
Maybe like an athlete? Or Alan Watts. Is he still alive?
I don't think he's alive anymore.
Is he still alive?
Yeah.
I'm just starting to read. I'm still starting to read his stuff and watch his stuff.
Hey, do you practice meditation?
I need to get back into it. I did at one point. I get into it and I don't. I get into it. So I'm trying to get back into it because I need it more so in my life than ever.
I'm thrilled to have the chance to talk to you. I know we've been back and forth for quite a bit, but we managed. Here we are. Thank you. It's been very interesting just to follow a little bit from far away your work you've done with collaborations and also in the sport. And but at the end of the day, the interesting thing is to get to know the person behind all of it, and you give us a little glimpse. I know there's a lot more behind that we're able to meet today, but there's a glimpse of a person who is persistent, who is improving herself, determined, and full of life. And I want to thank you for sharing that with us.
No, thank you. I really appreciate your time, and thank you for letting me babble and talk about stuff. And yeah, it's really cool. And I'm just honored to be on the platform. Thank you.
All right. We're pretty done here.
Awesome.